Oba was a kind man who loved his mother, Mama Tari, more than anyone else in the world. She raised him alone after his father passed away, so he felt he owed her everything. One day, Oba met Kimi, a cheerful and hardworking woman who worked as a social media influencer. Kimi was full of life and she brought so much happiness into Oba's quiet life. Oba was sure Kimi was the woman he wanted to marry, but Mama Tari didn't approve of her. She's not wife material, Mama Tari said. You need a woman from our village, not some internet girl. Kimi was heartbroken but determined to win Mama Tari over. She visited their home often, bringing gifts and helping around the house. Kimi cooked delicious meals, cleaned every corner of the house, and even washed Mama Tari's clothes by hand. The neighbors whispered, Kimi is such a hardworking girl. She's perfect for Oba. But Mama Tari shook her head. A woman who shows herself online has no respect for family values, she said. Oba must marry a proper girl who knows her place. Oba felt torn between the two women he loved most. Mama, Kimi is a good person. She loves me and she's willing to do anything to make you happy, Oba pleaded. But Mama Tari was firm. If Kimi truly loves you, she will leave that shameful job, she said. Kimi tried to explain that her job was her passion and her source of income, but Mama Tari refused to listen. It's either the job or my son, she declared. Oba begged Kimi to quit social media, but she couldn't give up her dreams. She had worked so hard to build her career. Despite the tension, Kimi did not give up. She visited Mama Tari every day, trying to prove she could be the perfect wife for her Oba. She cooked Mama Tari's favorite dishes, cleaned her house, and showed respect in every way possible. Mama Tari remained cold. You can't fool me with your kindness, she said. You're just pretending. Women like you don't belong in a family like ours. Kimi cried silently that night, but she promised herself she wouldn't give up. She loved Oba and she believed love would win. Mama Tari had her own plans. She traveled back to her hometown and found a young woman named Bisi. Bisi was quiet and respectful, and everything Mama Tari wanted in a daughter-in-law. She brought Bisi back and introduced her to Oba. This is the woman you will marry, Mama Tari said proudly. Oba was shocked. He didn't feel anything for Bisi, but Mama Tari insisted. She is from our hometown. She knows our culture. She is also a good girl, Mama Tari said. Oba looked at Kimi, who stood silently in the corner, tears streaming down her face. Kimi decided to make one last effort. She spoke directly to Mama Tari. Mama, I love Oba. I will give him a happy life. I will continue to respect you and this family. Please let me stay. But Mama Tari was unmoved. Love isn't enough. A wife must bring honor to her husband's family. Your job brings shame, not honor, she said. Oba stayed silent, his head hanging low. He wanted to speak up for Kimi, but he couldn't find the courage to go against his mother. Kimi's heart broke as she realized Mama Tari would never accept her. Days turned into weeks, and the pressure grew heavier. Mama Tari began setting a wedding date for Oba and Bisi, ignoring his protest. You will thank me later, she said firmly. Oba tried to talk to Kimi, but she stopped him. I can't keep fighting for us if you won't fight for me, Kimi said, her voice trembling. If you can't stand up to your mother, then maybe you don't love me enough. Oba looked at her helplessly, unable to answer. That night, Kimi packed her things and left. Oba cried as he watched her walk away, but he didn't stop her. The wedding between Oba and Bisi happened quickly. Bisi seemed perfect at first, obedient, polite, and respectful to Mama Tari. I made the right choice, Mama Tari told herself proudly. Oba, however, felt empty. He missed Kimi's laughter and the joy she brought to his life, but he buried his feelings, hoping he could grow to love Bisi. This is what Mama wants, he reminded himself. I must make her happy, he said to himself. Months passed and Bisi began to change. At first, it was the small things. She started going out late and making new friends. Then the rumors started. Neighbors whispered about Bisi's wild behavior. She was seen at parties drinking and flirting with other men. Oba confronted her, but she laughed in his face. You're boring, Oba. I deserve to have fun, she said. Mama Tari heard the rumors too, but she refused to believe them. Bisi would never do such things, she said. She is a good girl. I know her family, she said. One day, Oba discovered the truth. He came home early and found Bisi with another man in their house. Heartbroken and angry, Oba threw the man out and confronted Bisi. How could you do this to me? He shouted. Bisi smirked. You didn't marry me because you loved me. You married me to please your mother, so don't act surprised, she said coldly. Oba felt a pain in his chest, not just from her betrayal, but from the realization that he had lost Kimi for nothing. Not long after, Oba's health began to decline. He started feeling weak and tired all the time. He went to the hospital and received a devastating news. He had a very terminal illness. The doctors told him it was likely caused by an infection from Bisi's infidelity. Oba was crushed. He had sacrificed the love of his life for his mother's approval, only to end up with a wife who betrayed him and ruined his life. Mama Tari wept when she heard the news. I only wanted the best for you, she cried. I did not know this would happen. As Oba grew weaker, the community began to talk. Mama Tari ruined her son's life, they whispered. If she hadn't pushed him to marry Bisi, none of this would have happened. The mockery and judgment became unbearable. People pointed fingers at Mama Tari wherever she went. You killed your son, they said. Mama Tari's heart couldn't take the shame and guilt anymore. She stopped eating and rarely left the house. Her health began to fail as she sank into depression. One morning, Mama Tari did not wake up. The doctor said she had passed away in her sleep from high blood pressure caused by stress. Oba, now bedridden, wept bitterly when he heard the news. Mama, why did you do this to us? He cried. The house, once filled with Mama Tari's strong presence, felt empty and cold. The community too mourned her death, but they couldn't forget the tragedy she had brought upon her family. As Oba's illness progressed, he thought of Kimi every day. He wished he had fought for her. If only I had been brave enough to stand up to Mama, he whispered to himself. He wrote a letter to Kimi, apologizing for everything and telling her how much he loved her, but he never got the chance to send it. His strength faded and he passed away, clutching the letter in his hand. The tragedy of Oba's life became a lesson for the community about the dangers of controlling love and ignoring true happiness. News of Oba's death spread quickly through the village, leaving everyone in shock. People gathered outside his home, murmuring his sorrow and regret. He didn't deserve this, they said. All he wanted was to marry the woman he loved. Among the crowd was Kimi. When she heard about Oba's passing, she couldn't stop crying. She blamed herself for walking away, even though deep down she knew she had done everything she could. Kimi knelt by his grave, reading the letter he never got to send. I loved you too, Oba, she whispered, tears falling onto the paper. Kimi stayed by the grave long after everyone else had left. She thought about the life they could have had together, a life full of love and happiness. She remembered Oba's laughter, his kind eyes, and the way he always listened to her dreams. Why didn't you fight for us? She asked softly, even though she already knew the answer. Mama Tari's shadow had been too strong and Oba had been too scared to stand against her. Kimi vowed never to let anyone control her life again. Back in the village, Bisi tried to avoid whispers and accusations. People now saw her as the villain of the story. She destroyed Oba, they said. She ruined his life and brought shame to his family. Bisi packed her things and left the village, never to return. People said she moved to the city to start over, while others believed she simply disappeared. No one missed her, and her name became a warning to young men about choosing the right partner. The villagers built a small memorial for Oba and Mama Tari in the center of the village. It was a reminder of the cost of misplaced control and the dangers of ignoring true love. People often visited the memorial to leave flowers or say prayers. Let this be a lesson, the elders said. Love should be free. No one has the right to decide who another person can marry. The younger generation listened carefully, determined not to repeat the mistakes of the past. Kimi decided to honor Oba's memory in her own way. She used her platform as a social media influencer to tell their story. She posted heartfelt videos and messages encouraging her followers to fight for love and stand up for anyone who tried to control their happiness. Her story touched millions of people and her followers grew rapidly. Love is worth fighting for, she said in one of her posts. Don't let fear of tradition stop you from being with the person you truly love. Kimi's platform became a space for others to share their stories. People from all over the world sent her messages, thanking her for her bravery and vulnerability. Your story saved my relationship, one person wrote. I finally had the courage to stand up to my parents. Kimi felt a sense of purpose and that she had never felt before. She turned her pain into strength and used it to help others. Oba's love lived on known through her work, inspiring countless people to choose happiness over fear. Years later, Kimi visited the village again. She stood at the memorial for Oba and Mama Tari, placing a bouquet of flowers at its base. The village had changed. There were now new houses, new families, and a new sense of openness. The elders welcomed her warmly, thanking her for sharing her story with the world. You've made a difference, they said. Our children now understand the importance of love and choice. Kimi smiled, knowing Oba's story would never be forgotten. One day, as Kimi was walking through the village, she met a young boy named Toby. Toby was curious and full of questions. Why do people always talk about Oba and Mama Tari? He asked. Kimi knelt down and told him their story. She spoke about love and courage and the mistakes people make when they let fear and tradition control their lives. Toby listened carefully, his eyes wide with wonder. I will never let anyone stop me from loving someone, he said firmly. Kimi laughed, patting his head. That's the spirit, she said. As Kimi prepared to leave the village, she felt a sense of closure. She had done everything she could to honor Oba's memory and ensure his story would live on. You will always be in my heart, she whispered as she looked up at the sky. She walked away with a lighter heart, ready to embrace the future while carrying the lessons of the past. Oba's love had shaped her and she knew it would continue to guide her in everything she did. In the city, Kimi's career flourished. She became a well-known advocate for love and freedom, hosting seminars and workshops to help people break free from toxic traditions and societal pressures. She often spoke about Oba, sharing the lessons she had learned from their relationship. Her words resonated deeply with her audience, many of whom were inspired to make bold changes in their own lives. Oba's story saved me, one attendee told her. Kimi smiled, knowing that his love had left an indelible mark on the world. Thank you so much, guys, for watching my videos. If you got to this point, please give this video a thumbs up. It will help grow my small YouTube channel and also tell YouTube to push my videos to a wider audience. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. Endeavor to turn on your post notifications so you get notified when I post more interesting content like this. Please leave a comment in the comment sections. Let me know about how you feel about this story and how you feel about my other videos. If you haven't seen my previous videos, please ensure to do so. See you guys in my next video. Bye.